And from here, we've been closely monitoring all things happening in Vermilion Parish this morning, where we've talked a lot about storm surge as it continues to be a threat, particularly south of Highway 14. News 15's Jeff Horchak is with the Executive Director of the Vermilion Parish Chamber of Commerce. Jeff?
All right, thanks, Scott. I'm here with Lauren Trahan with the Vermilion Chamber of Commerce. So we're talking a little bit about how the parish is prepared for this hurricane. Lauren, kind of fill us in. You guys are pretty high tech for a smaller community.
We are, and we prepare for hurricane season long before it's a phrase, before we utter the words. Our city and our parish do a really great job of meeting with seniors and meeting with people in the community to make sure that they are well aware of mitigation processes like our text alerts, our websites. We have links to everything from sandbags to what to do in case of a medical emergency. And we start preparing our citizens early. So.
Now, talk about the elderly, because, you know, every city has people that are kind of shut in. If they need food or water, stuff like that, they may need someone to bring that to them. And with this texting system, they can communicate with you guys.
Well, these text alerts mainly are to get word out about where our locations are for sandbags. Now, we've kind of dodged a bullet here with this hurricane, but we are watching the coast. And so we know who our neighbors are, and we've taken a list of who might be in a wheelchair or who might be disabled and might need extra help. So we actually have those residents on hand to go and check on them in case of storm surge.
Being that you're the chamber, Lauren, do you stay in close contact with other businesses that may be able to help out? You know, they have the equipment if, you know, God forbid somebody's trapped, although we've been fortunate here because the weather's been very mild. But if that would happen later in the day, you can contact people and get them out quick.
Oh, it's amazing. Like if you look around my office, you'll see, I mean, for every business card, for every flyer I have here represents a business that's ready to help out, ready to lend a helping hand. Hurricanes are nothing new in this parish. Storm surge is nothing new. And we do year-round mitigation to make sure. And these businesses, anybody is ready to lend a hand, whether it's lodging or food or, you know, moving debris. We help each other out here in Vermilion. So
go ahead and plug that the website, as well as how people can find out more information through the text if they're living in this area right now.
Sure. For small businesses, there's a toolkit available on the vermilionchamber.org website, but our city and our parish websites also have information, and then you can do a text alert. Text Vermilion with 1 L to 77295. It's also on socials, so you can scan the QR code if you're QR code savvy and be alert and be in the know.
Awesome, Lauren. Appreciate the time and meeting with us today. And again, continue to do the good work and help out the folks in Vermilion Parish know what's happening all across the area.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You bet. It's Lauren Trahan with the Vermilion Chamber of Commerce here in the city of Abbeville. We'll continue to monitor the weather conditions as Hurricane Francine continues to make her way towards the Louisiana coast. Live in Abbeville for News 15, I'm Jeff Horchak. Back to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And, you know, all of this, you know, recovery, preps, and flip it around again. It all takes a village. So many different organizations and communities coming together. Ben Broussard, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Chief of External Affairs, Catholic Charities of Acadiana. Ben, when you see a storm coming, how soon does the prep work for you guys begin? Or was this something you guys always had in play and you tweak it?
When you have time, you like to start about 100 hours before. Yeah. With the storms that have been we've seen over the last few years, sometimes you don't have that much time.
This guy's
popped up. It was about 50 something hours, and so we had to speed up our preparations both internally and organizationally a good bit. But I'm grateful that we did have Monday to start. So you have response that you have to have a plan for. How do you respond? You need volunteers to respond. You need volunteers to raise their hand and say, hey, if I'm in the unaffected areas, if I don't have to take care of my own stuff, then I'd like to be a part of this. And so we've done a lot of phone calling and a lot of getting people kind of pre-registered in that regard.
But you can always use more.
We can always use more, sure. And even in this lull, like it's the calm before the storm. On the way over here, it was rather eerie in Lafayette. It's breezy, it's drizzling. There's not many people on the road. That's right. But you worry about that. Also, we have other programs that Catholic Charities of Acadiana is operating that we had to make sure to take care of, especially the vulnerable folks that we deal with through our shelter system through our permanent supportive housing units. So that's one thing. Also, our coordination with Lafayette Consolidated Government, with the parish, with the OSEP offices, to help them stand up the shelter that's at Dupuis Center right now.
Yeah, I know you were at the command center monitoring things a little while ago.
That's right, and so we're helping to coordinate with them, but also with our VOAD partners within Acadiana. I think it's because Lafayette, because our area has suffered so many disasters over the past, couple decades, we know that we can't do it all by ourselves. If you try to do a major disaster by yourself, you'll be out of gas in a few days. You got to know your lane, you got to know what you do well, and know what your fellow man does well. And you do that, and they do that, and then together we can be a coordinated
repair and recovery. Ben, it's a big jigsaw puzzle, and you're putting all these pieces together. Catholic Charities, as good as you guys are, can't do it all by yourself.
No way.
So as we ask for volunteers, Ben, what kind of things are we looking at? I'm looking at this impressive list, and you and I have done some stories before on some of this stuff. Where do you need volunteers, and what might they be doing?
So right after landfall, that's where the disaster assessment portion starts. That's where we want.
You got to know what the problem is.
Yeah,
first.
you have your initial assessments from the municipalities that say, hey, we've got reports of higher flood waters or storm surge in these areas. We'll start to get damage reports in from the community, which those reports can be made by calling 232-HELP or dialing 211. But then you send out volunteers to go out and do those assessments, to go and take those pictures, visit with the families. From there, you can triage the jobs. Because one of them might be you've got some branches on a home. One of them might be
what has to be done right now.
Yeah, one has to be done
it's like in a mass unit. What after you treat right now, and then you guys can come back and say, all right, now what's our longer term plan,
That's right. So you have the initial response, but what do we know about disaster is that there's going to be folks who are going to fall within the cracks. Those are the ones that are disaster is not just an inconvenience. It's something that without the assistance of organizations and the community, it would be really hard, if not impossible, for them to come out on the other side. And so that's where the long-term recovery effort helps. This effort takes years. So the 2016 floods, it took us just over 4 years to get to the final home, which that was long after people had forgotten about it and maybe moved on with their lives. And so,
well, look in Katrina. I mean, they're
still doing it. The Oklahoma City bombing, they're still doing it. 9/11, Katrina, Superstorm Sandy.
Truly,
absolutely,
a philanthropic marathon.
It is a philanthropic marathon, and it's something. It shows the importance of supporting a local organization in a disaster, one that's already set up here. Whether it be Catholic Charities or any other organization that's active in disaster, knowing that, man, what we put together in terms of either resources or volunteer efforts, it's going to help us for the length of that disaster, long after we've stopped talking about it on air.
Ben, I look at this list, and you sent me the email. You and I were texting earlier. Damage assessments, roof tarping, muck out and cleanup, debris removal, chainsaw crews, in-kind donations, of course. The dollar donations are great, but a lot of times the stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
If you've got a bunch of lumber, if you've got a bunch of plumbing supplies, if the stuff, it may have longer legs.
It's true, and it's so important in disaster to reach out to that responding organization, go to their website, figure out exactly what they need. So many stories from worldwide disasters of people who were moved to do wonderful things in disaster, but because they didn't figure out what the exact need was, they ended up assuming and maybe doing some things that became a disaster within the disaster. The big ones, Katrina, Ida, some of these enormous storms, 18-wheelers that showed up with things that they didn't need. And you got to think, man, what could we have done?
Communicate a little bit better with these organizations, find out the needs. Ben, Ben Broussard with Catholic Charities of Acadiana. People want to volunteer, they want to help out with anything, where do they go?
With us, CatholicCharitiesAcadiana.org. There's a red bar at the top. There's a place to pre-register as a volunteer or find other ways to support.
And if it fails, contact me. He only lives a few blocks away.
That's
I
right.
know where he is.
Here's Scott's cell phone number.
Wait a second, Ben. Good to see you,
brother.
Keep up the good
Yeah,
work, buddy,
thank you.
and keep us posted.
Appreciate it.
Great work from these folks.